All right, we're on the last the home stretch. We're going to talk about the water, the light and dark cards, and then the cycles as well. You'll notice we haven't talked about like the cycle of backups and the Jack Garland, the soap foe forwards and stuff like that. Well, the soap foe, the forwards that care about soap foe.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll talk about those when we get to the cycles at the end. Uh, so let's talk about water. My favorite element, and also my favorite element, this set got a lot of really exciting cards. Um, Start off with probably my personal pick for like my favorite legend of the set. Maybe the best legend of the set, but I mean, it is competing with Zandy. Gao, 5 CP, 8K. The cost required to cast Gao is reduced by 1 for each monster you control. So it can go all the way to 0. When Gao enters the field, choose a forward opponent controls. If its cost is equal to or less than the number of monsters you control, put it at the bottom of the owner's deck. And then also, dual active Gao, choose one monster until end of turn. It also becomes a forward with 8k power. So I'm just gonna like immediately state the obvious that everyone's already said. So this is a 0 CP removal spell for removal 8k with for monster decks. The dual effect means it has effective kind of haste, right? Like you can in like more tempo based monster decks, like Turbo Realm, for example, you can play this, bottom deck something, dual Gao to animate like a goblin or a haste goblin or like something that can't normally animate, swing. This also animates like your goblins, your blue worms and stuff to swing with them without having to risk or without having them break, right? Though I'm not sure when you would do that versus just like swinging with Gao instead. And also the other obvious thing that people have mentioned that's really cute is that this can choose opponent's monsters and make them vulnerable. So this makes them vulnerable to like your Phoenix, for example, um, you know, uh, your goblins, for example, right? You can like uh, animate an opponent's Skeletoad or Atomos, right? Like people have already kind of mentioned that. So
Yep.
um, I think the thing that people have not talked a lot about, at least that I've seen, is that this is a colorless card. This goes in like mono earth monsters.
Yes, it does.
Like this card is not a water card necessarily. Like this goes into basically most dedicated monster decks, right? Like if you're playing, I mean, so the thing is, most monster decks appreciate being in blue for blue worm anyways. So I don't know how much that's gonna change things necessarily. Or like blue worm and Tonberry and I guess those are the two main things. Sometimes Tros, whatever. Realm, obviously. I think that this is at its best in tempo decks. So I think that like the sort of more control based monster decks. I mean, okay, 0 CP bottom something, it's really good, right? This is going to see play there as well. But I think it shines at its absolute best in tempo based monster decks. Um, that's like the majority of what I have to say. I think this card is just very, very, very good. And also the art is amazing.
Yeah, this,
Um,
this card's busted. I
yeah.
mean, to say you brought up all the good points. Like you mentioned, mono earth monsters, which is a thing. That deck also normally runs Leo to give
Hmm.
all, so even then you have water CV.
Yep.
So it's not like it's never dead. It makes your opponent kind of like counts your monsters carefully because they're like, all right, so he has 4, that means he can bottom deck my wall. He has 5, that means that he can bottom deck, something else. It's just such an awkwardly good card for an archetype that has seen success.
Hmm.
Uh, so I mean, man, it's a good card. I don't have much to say about this. Just play this card, dude.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard to say things that people haven't already mentioned about this card. You know,
bottom deck something and hit me with your 1 CP monster that does nothing. Like or you know, you play your Cleone, the one that prevents summons, and just hit me with that. It's why are you hitting me with those monsters? Yeah, let's go.
Pat, do you have anything to mention or?
You ready for how I'm using this?
Oh hell yes!
So in my Ravana monsters deck, this slots right in. All right, so you got removal. You got a free AK, okay, but the most important part here is the dual active Gao to animate a monster.
Okay.
So my secret tech in the Ravana deck is the Fire Lightning Arden. So Fire Lightning Arden reads, when a forward dies, this turn your next forward is 5 less mana.
I know where you're going. That's so good.
So that's how I get Ravana into play for 1 mana, is get Arden out and then kill a forward, either my own or whatever. But with so many monsters with sack abilities, Gao is able to animate a monster, and then I'm able to use its sack ability so that when it dies, it died as a forward, thus allowing my next forward to be 5 less, playing Ravana for 1 mana.
That's actually hilarious.
That's so good.
That's like the most big brain thing I've ever heard. I thought you were gonna say, because that's also cute, you can animate, what is it, the jellyfish is the one that gives haste?
Oh my God.
Jellyfish is ETB haste.
But I mean, you're sacking that when Ravana has already been in play.
So. But like, if you have Ravana, right, you play the jellyfish, so you play Ravana, jellyfish, give it haste, Gao for free, animate jellyfish, swing with jellyfish, sack jellyfish, and then swing with... I don't know. It's funny. I love that. But I actually really, that's funny with Arden. Yeah. Damn, I didn't think about that. That's so cool.
That's so big brain.
Really cool.
I love that so much.
So that's how I'm using it.
Oh man, I'm gonna be thinking about that the whole time. Man, you can get Arden introduction with this.
I guess so. I kind of want to talk about the state of monster decks as well while we're talking about Gao. There's no other like monster stuff to sort of bring this up. So I guess, how do you both feel about like where monsters are at?
I think they're reaching a point where the fact that Neo X that exists is good, because they're getting quite a lot of support. Because cards now, instead of counting forwards or backups, are counting characters, and the best way to get characters outside of backups is monsters. So people are incentivized to run monsters because they get very good payoffs out of it.
Yeah. And
there's actually surprisingly little efficient removal for monsters that you just want to run in your main deck. If this game had a sideboard, it'd be a different story.
Yeah.
But there's very few cards that just happen to hit monsters outside of lightning that you want to be running in your deck. So a lot of these monster decks just like get free value and free wins out of your deck, just not being able to handle their boards.
Yeah. Like I want to see like a Mist Dragon, except one of the 3 lines is kill a monster, you know?
Yeah, it's called Ramu.
Oh yeah. Actually, yeah, you're right. But like that card, okay, but like imagine if Ramu like also attacked Break Zone. You know what I mean? Like give us a summon. Wait, does it? Hold on.
It doesn't.
No. Okay, good. But like imagine if we had a summon that just said like, you know, I don't know, give something haste, or I don't know, like some generic effect, right? Maybe like deal 8k or something, right? And then the other 2 lines were, you know, Break Zone hate and monster hate.
Right. I mean, I would like that card in water, just because water mirrors are so dog shit that I just want a card that says, if I draw this before you, I win. So so to make that matchup, watching that matchup bearable. So maybe.
I mean, would that actually like so? I mean, the big reason that like Blue Worm is so good is because like you use your monster hate on it, and they already drew the card off Blue Worm. So like,
yeah.
Did you really get anything out of killing it?
Not efficient, but I mean, if you get something else out of it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Remove Blue Worm and also like remove your break zone, right? It's like, oh, I got your Leviathan. I don't know, dude. We're theory crafting, but
yeah.
I think Monster Hate should be tacked on to more things, just so that it's main deckable, because it could get out of control. I don't know. That's why I see it.
And Pat, I know you played a little bit of the Ice Earth Water Go-Go Hippocampus deck that did really well at that one tournament. I don't know, how do you feel about that deck? I know that deck is sick. So
I love that deck.
I know. I also so love fun
to play. Yeah. I feel like the realm for every Atomos shell, like that's like so strong right now.
That thing is like, I feel like that as a concept, like as a deck concept, is underexplored. Like I know people have played around, like I've sort of taken my stab at it with, I mean, I play wall in every deck, so you know, I turn every deck into a 4-color wall pile. It's just what I do. So like I took the realm deck and I made it a wall deck, right? You know, I think that like in general, realm grabbing every Atomos has like a lot of room to just like, I think it's like a very underexplored shell, you know?
Yeah.
I think in the West it is. I know in Japan and in Australia, one of the winner decks.
Oh yeah, Matiski's. Well, no, but he wasn't running Realm. He was running.
No. But we're talking. I'm talking more like the Hippocampus.
Oh.
Your board with Hecaton Gyre.
Yeah.
Definitely underexplored here. I think people dismissed Hippocampus very quickly.
Yes, I did.
And people figured out, hey, turns out if you play Hecaton Gyre and then that, you can wipe your board, and then I hit you.
Or you just you just do it twice, right? With Go-Go.
Well, turns out I'm gonna wipe your board and also swing for 5 that turn. What are you gonna do about it? It's definitely underexplored, and Gao doesn't really help that situation because he just says, hey, you're playing like 8 forwards, I'm gonna be one of them.
Yep.
Right. And I'm just gonna like bottom deck something because why not?
I will say it was a little hard fitting space in the monster decks I was tweaking for fitting space for Gao, because you're playing, so you have to play 18 monsters if you're playing 1 CP Mira, right?
Yeah, I think I play more, probably like around 20. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like at least like minimum 18, right?
That's the 90%, right?
Yep. And then, you know, in like control shells, like the Ice Earth Water was playing Shinryu, right? I mean, that was playing Go-Go as well, right? But even if you like cut out the ice, you know, like I feel like there's just like a lot of there's not a lot of space.
I think we go more towards Go-Go because now with Gao, because unless I'm misreading the card, doesn't Go-Go copy Gao?
Yes, the Dole active Gao. Yeah, it does. So swings twice.
I mean, it copies Wall too, so kind of but yeah. I don't know. Copying Gao is kind of nice. I don't know. So you go, oh god, it's so good.
All right. I think we've talked enough about monsters. Is there anything else you want to add, Pat, before we move on?
No, just that my Ravana deck also has Realm every Atomos.
Oh yeah, so you're right.
I feel that deck, for anybody knows, it's a 100 card deck because he's mentioned. So, just FYI, it's not a legal deck. Don't play.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the Vikings or Pirates, whatever. The Pirates and Vikings. So Is it Bikke? I don't know.
I think it's Bikke.
Bikke. Bikke.
Bikke.
4 CP AK, pirate. If you control 2 or more job pirate and or card name Viking, you know, everyone makes the joke about Durando. The cost required to cast Bikke is reduced by 4, so he's free. Job pirate forwards and card name Viking forwards other than Bikke you control gain. If this forward is dealt damage by your opponent's abilities, the damage becomes 0 instead. This prevents demon board wipe on Vikings, which is really annoying, having played against it once. Faris is a 4 CP pirate and also Warrior of Light. I doubt that's going to be relevant, but
it's super relevant.
Is it?
I'm kidding. I have a.
Oh.
Never mind. Go ahead.
I believed you for like a second.
No. For me, it is. I have the only Viking deck I've been messing around with actually uses the fact that she's a Warrior of Light.
Oh, actually, okay, yeah. That's sick.
I'll talk about it when we talk about the cards.
All right. So 4 CP forward, Pirate Warrior Light, AK. It makes all of your pirates and Vikings, other than Faris, become 8K. I don't know if this is relevant for like if anything becomes an 8K that wasn't 9K before, but the big deal is that this makes all of your cantrip Vikings into 8Ks. And she basically, her action ability is she can't be targeted. Her action ability is choose a summoner ability that is choosing only Faris, and you can choose another water forward you control, assuming it's a valid choice. And then Leila, 3 mana, 4K forward, pirate, and also a rebel, for what it's worth. When she ETBs, you can search for a pirate or Viking and add it to hand. When a water forward attacks, choose a forward opponent controls, it loses 1K. So I guess I'll just get it out of the way. I've seen people mention, like, you know, memes with like, oh, you have a Titus on board and then your opponent targets Faris, like you can redirect it to the like that's never happening, right? Like that is never ever happening, right? I having played against this deck exactly like 1 time in testing, it's kind of obnoxious, but like I don't know, you just kind of I don't know how Vikings used to play back in the day, but it felt like, oh, if you just have a board wipe, like Hecatoncheir wipes the Vikings, right? Like being 8K is actually kind of awkward because Hecatoncheir kills everything. That said, I didn't give too much thought to the Leila until you added it just now, Emmanuel. The losing 1K on swing actually isn't too bad when your entire board is 8Ks, right? Like it turns your opponent's 9Ks into 8Ks, so that they trade with your Vikings, which is bad. Yeah, I think that this deck is like, you know, okay. I hate the sort of swarm aggro decks, so.
So I will say that these cards have flipped in priority for me until I actually played them, right? So I used to think, okay, so Faris is definitely the best card because it turns your Vikings into 8K, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So the best card in this deck is, hands down, it's Bikke. By, like, not even, like, close, right?
Wait, really?
Oh, but not even close.
Really?
Like, oh, yeah. So Vikings, the way they used to play, you asked the question how they used to play. Vikings used to be an ice water deck.
Okay.
And it used to play a backup snow that cost 4 that said whenever a forward you control attacks, double a forward, right? So they would swarm the board. You would play your big blockers, then they would play snow and be like, your blockers don't matter.
Yeah.
Right? But at that time, Vikings was a little better because board wipes in the form of like stuff like Demons, Susano, etc. were not very common. Now they are, right? So Vikings are like, you play them, you're going to get wiped, right? Bikke says not really, because now all those damage effects don't matter. And I'm also a free forward. So Bikke has been surprisingly the MVP of the deck.
Really?
I think that Faris, while it's cool to turn your Vikings into 8Ks. Vikings used to win without being 8Ks. I think that was like the least of your worries, that they were small. There's nothing that people are playing right now that does like 5K damage to your board. It's either 9K, 8K, or nothing, right? So even if they're like 3Ks or 8Ks, the board wipes will wipe them anyway. Bikke is the one that says no. Like your demon doesn't wipe them, your Susano doesn't wipe them, right?
So I guess the question I have, because like so obviously it's like really good against Earth, or sorry, against fire, right? But when it comes to Earth, right? Like yeah, it stops like Shadow Lord and Hecatoncheir, or not Shadow Lord. No, it doesn't stop Shadow Lord. It stops Titan. Is it Titan or no? Titan also straight breaks.
No. So Earth will wipe your board.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to accept that. But Vikings, the good thing about Vikings is 2 of them just draw you a card when they die.
Yeah.
So really, you're not losing that much. And then Leila, I was actually super low on her. I immediately read her. I'm like, I'll just play the 4 CP Leila. Why would I play?
Same.
But the fact that she searches you, Bikke, is really good. And the fact that she searches you any Viking is actually pretty good. So I've been a little higher on her. So the way I've been playing it, right, because I also don't like just like, here's 20 forwards, answer them or die. And I mentioned that Faris is a Warrior of Light. So Faris is a Warrior of Light that's also searchable by King Tycoon. So you have Lenna that are searchable by King Tycoon. There's an Opus 2 arc backup that buffs your standard units by 1K. So Faris turns them into 9Ks instead of 8Ks. And then you just play Refia and Sarah. And then you have 4 Warriors of Light. You have 3 backups and 2 forwards. So it plays like a aggro deck, but if you wipe my board, then I can rebuild as a mid-range deck. And
it's
just,
like Wind Water is what you're saying.
Yeah, Wind Water. So I play Sarah, King Tycoon, Lenna, the Sarah FFL, Arc as your backups, then as forward Faris, Refia, and I think I'm running, just for the memes, like the 2 CP Bart that can turn into any job, so I can turn him into a pirate because that's cute. He's also a Warrior of Light, so you can like rebuild more into a mid-range strategy once your opponent inevitably wipes you.
Oh, that's so cool. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, that, again, not a particularly good deck, but it's what I saw, because I genuinely think just Faris is not good enough. But I read, it's Warrior of Light, and it's searchable by King Tycoon. That's kind of cool. So, yeah, explore it. It's kind of fun. But I'm not too high on it. I don't think it's going to do that well. So,
yeah. What do you think, Pat?
I used to play that Viking deck, the Ice Viking deck Emmanuel was just talking about with the snow.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. That was like one of my like first decks when I started like really playing. So I have a soft spot for Vikings. I haven't tested any of these new cards yet though, but I do agree with Emmanuel that Bikke does seem like really good, and he's like free.
I just worry that like against non-fire decks, like does he have any text?
Well, against wind, they can't lose OU.
Oh. Well. Huh.
Like, oh dang. See, this is the Earth player mentality, right? Like you're like, but I have.
Yeah, it's just like, I just Shantoto you, and it's like,
honestly, like Shantoto has been around since Opus 1.
Yeah.
And Vice Kings, that's what the deck was called. Yeah. It was like, all right, you Shantoto me, I draw 2 cards. Who gives?
Well, wait. It leaves the field. It's not gonna
leaves the field. Yes, you can bounce him, and he draws you a card, right? So since I'm on Water Wind, I'm also running like 2 CP Chocobo and stuff like that too.
So that's okay. That's cool.
It's pretty cool. It's fun. It's not good. Please don't play it, but it's fun.
Okay. All right. That seemed. I feel like if I were to play Vikings, that would be like the style of deck that I would play.
Yeah, I'm happy that they didn't. So I know people were upset that we didn't get a new Viking. I was a little worried because right now we have every Viking. You have 15 Vikings. Means that your 2 CP Viking that plays Vikings for free.
Yep.
is hitting less than 90%.
Yeah.
If we hit the 18 mark, I'm like, okay, so we always get a 2CP forward that hits a Viking. Like, that's...
Yeah, I will say in playtesting, because I've never played Vikings before playtesting this set, somebody was playing it, and I never like read that card until they played it, and then they flipped that card into itself, and I was like, all right.
Oh, guess I lose.
Yeah, all right, well, cool.
I was gonna say for Leila, I remember in the old deck we played like Cloud of Darkness.
Oh man, that's a throwback.
Yeah, is that the Opus 5? I think Cloud of Darkness. ETB, target forward loses 2k for each forward you control, and then when it attacks, target forward loses 1k for each forward you control. So I feel like that sort of does a better job than Leila because you can just attack with that first, instead of doing it piecemeal at a time. The minus 1k. If you're trying to get rid of someone sticky.
Yeah, I think Leila's whole point is to search, and also she basically reads you win combat, right? If Faris is on the field, you're always going to win combat no matter what. So your opponent is not incentivized to block anything. So I think
I guess not versus wall, right? Because you have to swing 3 times.
You party or something.
Oh.
But it's still no versus wall. Just remove it, dude. Like, okay. Oh, speaking of wall can't snipe your Vikings with Bikke.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Wait, if you party attack with 2 water forwards, is it minus 2k?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Yes, it is.
I like never remember that party attacking is a mechanic, so.
You're not an aggro player, clearly.
I play Soul. All right, give me a break.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
in the new deck that I'm learning.
Fair.
It's good, Chris. All the forwards you play are all different colors. That's why you never.
No, that's literally what happens every time. I'm like, oh, I can party attack, and then it's like, my opponent has to remind me, like, oh no, you can't party attack because they're different colors, and I'm like, why is that even a rule?
You're like, I can party attack, or can you really?
Anyways, is there anything else to mention about Vikings? I guess.
No, I'm just happy they got support. No, yeah. It's very interesting support. I like it.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, we've reached the best card of the set, so I hope you're ready for a long discussion because this is gonna be a lot. So, Lenna is a 2CP EX water backup Princess Warrior of Light. When your opponent uses an EX burst to draw a card, and then Rhus is the special. It's special. You pay water and tap. Choose a forward that costs 3 or less in your break zone. Played onto the field duel. So I only started playing this game in Opus 18, but I like this card just feels like power creep. Like I don't know. Like I've only started playing this game recently, and this just reads to me as like they just put every single possible thing that they could onto a single card. You know, like so. Princess Warrior of Light, you know, I don't want to state too much of the obvious, but I guess I'll just like run through the bullet points essentially. Searchable off Sarah, searchable off Claris, searchable off sorry, not searchable off Claris, it's searchable off of Tycoon, who is searchable off of Claris, as well as off of Sarah. The Warrior of Light is relevant because now we have a very like I'd say like a critical mass of Warrior Light backups to where, you know, we don't have to run like mediocre Warrior Light forwards in order to enable Refia. Like you know, you play King Tycoon and search Lenna and you already have a Warrior Light backup, you know, off of a search from a backup. the EX draw card on a 2 CP backup is dumb. The fact that it has a relevant special, so you play 3 of this in your deck, right? And this is a reviving Refia and Faris and Bosch and Zidane. Like, thank God they come into tap. They come into play tapped, right? But still, you can play them on your opponent's turn too. The EX Burst, the EX Burst Hate as well. When your opponent uses an EX Burst draw card, like this card against a lot of decks is going to just draw you, a couple of cards throughout the game. Again, on a 2 CP backup, which is very silly. I don't know. This is like obviously the best card of the set, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like that's not up for debate, but maybe it is.
I don't disagree. I just don't understand why this card exists.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I could remove one of these texts and still play this card.
Yeah, same.
So the fact that it just has all of it, I'm like, I don't understand why it has EX Burst.
Yep.
I don't understand why the draw card is not once per turn.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's a Princess and Warrior of Light, so it's a searchable Warrior of Light backup, and then extra copies of it become a forward of 3 or less, when the 5 CP Lenna used to revive 2 or less. Now this 3 or less, so it revives Refia. I just don't understand this card. It's one of those, like, I there's no downside to this card. Like, absolutely no downside to playing this card unless you're playing mono water and planning to use the forward Refia to revive Leviathan. That is the only situation in which you would not run this card in a water deck. Because every water deck is running Sarah to search princesses, and this card is just absolutely insane. The fact that I haven't even attempted to build this, but like people are, like, some people said, hey, guess what? If you have Robo Akbel, you get extra copies of Lenna every why?
I've already have that on FF decks. I haven't built it or tested it at all, but like that was one of the things that I already started building. Yeah.
Kusith, EX Kusith becomes pay 1 for a forward or pay 2 for a 3-cost forward instead of just putting it back to your hand. Just revive it, because why not? Again, this card's pushed, very pushed, and I don't think it's gonna break the game. Thank God it's just a backup. But it's like, why would I not run this? There's give me one reason not to run this card.
Yeah. What about you, Pat? What are your feelings?
No, this was instantly the best card in the set for me. Like when you were going through the set and just naming cards, I was like, yeah, these are cool, but just wait till you get to Lenna. Yeah,
in our group chat, I was like, in our group chat, I was posting all of the cards from the set that I thought were interesting and worth talking about, and Pat was just like, yeah, just wait till you get to Lenna.
I was surprised they didn't reveal this card.
Same.
Yeah, same. It's like a shoe-in for a card of the week or something.
It was like, oh, here's the entire set. Oh, also, there's a Lenna in there if you want to take a look at it. I remember, people
all the way at the bottom.
And I'm scrolling, then I stop, and I'm like, wait, whoa, this can't be a real card, right? This doesn't say Princess Warrior White. I know I'm just, misreading this. There's no way.
First,
every word on this card is good.
Yeah.
There's not a single bad word on this card.
Yeah.
Except dull.
Yeah. No, dull is the one thing that makes this card not instantly, absurdly broken, right? I mean, it's obviously super pushed, but if it was ETB untapped, and I was playing Zidane's in the middle of combat, it'd be over.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I honestly, the fact that they picked Lenna, I guess they were thinking people already play Lenna's. No, I'm playing this Lenna. What are you talking?
Yep. I mean, it's searchable off of King Tycoon. What?
Yeah.
Also an EX back or EX backup.
If you want to make me think about it, name it Yuna or something, right?
Yeah.
Make me think about, oh wait, do I want to run Yuna or do I want to run this Yuna? But Lenna, it's immediately What are you talking about? Of course I'm going to run this. And like you said, King Tycoon, as soon as this was revealed, I'm like, man, screw Princess Goblin. Who needs that? Just get this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you go Claris into King Tycoon into this, you have 3 colors.
Yeah.
That's the 4 that you need for wall.
And they're all EX birds. Why are they all EX birds?
They're all EX birds, so your Bosch and your Cecils are like, yay.
Oh, dude, this is like the main deck that I've been playtesting is Warriors Elite with Cecil, and like this is the only new card in the entire deck, right? And I mean, you know, humble brag, I went 4-0 at Returners, right? And like this card is, you know, again, the fact that you draw a card off of your opponent's EX bursts is just like, it makes it so free. Like you know, when playing Refia decks before, I mean, again, I only started playing Refia decks in playtesting for this set. You know, you want to play very control based because like, you know, Refia is just generating value over time and stuff like that. And this lets you just like swing with your, you know, Brave Bosch and Warrior of Light and stuff and not like worry too much if your opponent flips like a Tyro or something, because you also get a card out of it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think you ever there are very few cases where you probably decline an EX burst because of an opponent's Lenna, but there are cases, right? Like if you flip like a Kuchulain and it's not blanking anything relevant, and your opponent like could draw the Amma that you know that they don't have in hand but might have in their deck, right? Like things like that, right? Like there will probably be times where you have to decline an EX burst because Lenna's on the field, you know?
I mean, I'm a greedy mofo.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably a bad idea, like in general.
That's huge.
Yeah,
like you're blanking your cards. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. But I'm saying like I you know, I've seen people like decline EXs every single time because Lenna's on the field, and I don't think that's right. You know, like if you flip Tyro, you obviously search off of Tyro and let them
you get to draw. You get to search. Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
if you're like whoever's listening, if do your Tyro, give him the card.
Yeah,
who cares?
For sure. So some other, I guess, just like because I want to talk about again, this is the card that I have I've probably played more with Princess Goblin because it was revealed earlier, but this is the card that I've been playtesting the most seriously in Walls. So I guess I just want to talk a bit more about like play patterns and stuff. So a couple things in Walls specifically. I've noticed that the S ability has come up in playtesting less often than I expected it to. The threat has always been there, but it's always been something that I've kept in the back of my mind and then never actually like needed to do. That
defines a good card, especially a good backup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, like I just expected like every game to be like S ability revive Faris or like revive, you know, Refia. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've maybe done that like once or twice. But still, I mean, again, the fact that the option's there to revive your Refia, you know, is still really, really huge. The fact that you start with Wind as your backup, or like go if you open King Tycoon, right, you play King Tycoon, grab Lenna, you play Lenna. I've had turns where like several games where I play those as my first 2 backups on turn 1, and then the next turn I can't play anything, right? Wind Water is a little awkward in a deck that's trying to be consistent with like Bosch, for example. So it can sometimes brick you a little bit as your first 2 backups, but I think it's one of those things that's just kind of like, you know, as we play with this card, we'll figure out more. Like having a win backup though is a positive when you're playing Zidane, right? Because you can turn to pitch a fire card, play Zidane, tapping the King Tycoon. So yeah, I don't know. There's like, this is going to be meta defining, I feel like.
I agree. I think just because of the fact that the hidden text in this is, this is also searchable by King Tycoon, which we all forgot about. So now water has another avenue of playing two backups. Maybe like you're saying, maybe it's a little breaky, so maybe the deck has to adjust a little bit to rely less on like fire cards like Bash.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe play other things that are more wind water related to accommodate those early turns. Your gameplay is still the same.
Yeah. I mean, I do appreciate this being one of my first backups when I'm playing Cecil, right? Because I can just, this is the water CP for Cecil, and then I just pitch an Earth card. I pitch the Bosch that I can't play, so.
Mm-hmm. And then you do that, and you can get it off. The fact that you can get off Claris to like the King Tycoon is
my god, yeah.
Absolutely busted. I think I mentioned to you, Claris seems like all right, but it's only searching King Tycoon. I would definitely explore like adding like a Leo in there. Right, or something
I think the Leo was an interesting suggestion in that. So just for context, so we were talking about the Claris, Tycoon, Lenna backup line and sort of what the rest of the backups look like. And so the first thing that Emmanuel suggested was Edgar, because Claris now searches a fire backup as well. But one of the things with the wall piles is that you're kind of trying not to play like Earth, Water was sort of your core. And then sometimes you'd play like your wind cards as well. But you were always trying to rely on like Tyros and like class 4th Moogles and stuff to be your fire CP. And then you would just run like Amma and Wall. I guess sometimes also Zidane, right? And that was like your fire CP entirely. So having a fire CP backup was like actually kind of awkward. And then you brought up Leo. And I was like, oh. You're right. You just play like Leo as the one of search target off of Claris when you don't need King Tycoon, Yep. So. Yeah.
Busted card. I don't think.
I feel like it's not even close. Like this is just easily the best card in the set.
Yeah. Yeah. Gorgeous Emmanuel too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Perfection.
Yeah, I guess let me check my notes because I don't remember if I had anything else to mention about this. I guess sorry, were you gonna say something? Or?
Get your playset.
Yeah, definitely get your playset. Yeah, so the other thing with the Claris Tycoon Lenna backup line is that we were talking before about Princess Goblin. And so I think it's definitely a genuine trade-off. Like we were saying, I don't think you should be running 2 wind backups. I think it's a trade-off between playing Tycoon and Princess Goblin in wall piles that aren't like playing Refia and stuff. Like Refia piles are going to be playing like usually, at least the ones that I play, like Lunith and Ingus backups and, Sarah FFL and stuff like that. So you're a little more strict on your back. But I mean, you can definitely explore, I feel like, Refia lists that are playing Claris, Tycoon, Lenna. Like, it's such a strong line to go for anyways that, the fact that you're probably going to have to play Tyro too. So if you have 3 names that are 3 named backups that can't sack themselves that are all not Warriors of Light, it's a little worse for Refia, but I mean, that's a trade-off that's probably fine, honestly.
I think in a deck that's trying to go for Cecil lines, self-damage, the fact that your backup line increased your EX count.
Mm-hmm. I have a very silly version of Radio Wall with 24 EXs playing, 3 Tycoon, 3 Claris, 3 Lenna,
So a lot of the decks that were running Wall were decently light on EXs. They had a few. But Cecil, it's still like a very powerful card. This just like buffs Cecil indirectly while also maintaining your consistency of backups.
Yeah.
About the same level, but also saying, hey, when I hit Cecil, I have like a 50% chance to also draw a card. Mm-hmm. So it's busted, right?
Yeah. I guess actually that is a good point. In my wall list, I'm playing Ingus as my Earth backup. Mainly. I mean, I've been like, maybe testing like one of Kryl as well, because searches or it regrabs Faris and stuff like that, as like the other backup. But I think like if you just abandon Ingus and just play 3 Claris instead. I don't know if that's actually like I haven't tested it yet, but that doesn't seem that bad, especially in a deck like you just said, playing Cecil. You know, you get your Earth and Water immediately.
Yep, and you get a bunch of EX for your trouble that just draw you cards because why not, right?
Yeah, in a deck that's already playing like busted EXs like Arc, you know.
Yeah, and turning your King Tycoons into I get to revive a forward, right?
Yep.
Like the EX for King Tycoon is no longer draw a card. It's I'm gonna play a forward for my break zone.
I guess the main thing. So regarding that, in Refia lists, usually late game, if I hit King Tycoon off of EX, I'm grabbing Faris most of the time because
if you're on Refia piles, yeah, 100%.
But you're right, like you know. I guess the other big thing is that in non-Refia piles, a lot of your forwards tend to be like more than like 4 CP higher, right?
Yeah.
Like you're playing Rosa Wall, Cecil's, Unes and stuff. Like your only real like I think Lenna's special is really, really good when it's grabbing Faris, right? Or when it has the potential to grab Refia. I think in like Rydia Wall, I mean obviously it grabs Rydia. If you're playing Zidane, it grabs Zidane.
Yep.
It grabs like if you're playing Bosch, it grabs Bosch, right?
Yep.
I guess it grabs Porum too.
Yeah, they're targets.
Okay, yeah. Okay, actually, yeah. There's targets. There's targets.
Right. All right.
Let's
move on.
Let's move on from this card because we've been talking for a while about it. All right. I guess any last words before we move on from Lenna?
Broken. All right.
Broken.
That's it.
Let's talk about Leviathan. So this is a very fun card to playtest at the start when it was first revealed. 6 CP summon during your turn. It costs 4 CP. Choose a forward, put it at the bottom of its owner's deck, and then you can play a forward of cost 2 or less from your hand onto the field. So everything that I was talking about with Edgar in Rydia Pal and Porum, this plays the exact same stuff, but only the forwards. So bottom deck something plays Zidane is like really, really good for 4 CP. This is just like a very good, like, I don't know where this goes outside of RPP, honestly, but in RPP it's very good. I just don't know if RPP is like, you know.
No, I agree with Rydia. This is like really good. This card, I don't know where else it has a home. I will say that it makes me want to play backup Yuna again. Because casting it for 3 on your turn is pretty good. It's like cast 3, kill something, play a 2 cost. So definitely room to explore there. But for now, like you're saying, I think this is just a really good payoff for Rydia, where you have a billion targets and you cast it for free.
Yeah, I don't even like in a lot of my playtests, this isn't even being cast for free. Like I happily pay 4 CP for this and then get the Rydia counters that way, right? Like I play one of the twins off of this. You know, it color fixes for you, right?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, no, yeah, I can't complain about that. It's I think that's where it definitely has a home, and if you happen to cast it for free, good for you.
Yeah.
So it's a cool card. I just don't see other homes for it, but maybe Pat has some meme that I'm like overlooking with this card. I don't know.
No, I was thinking the same thing. Just good fit for the Rydia decks. I guess are there any 2-mana things that have some sort of cast restriction? That would be the only kind of meme thing.
So there's aside from like element, you mean like Zidane and lightning?
Yeah,
and stuff?
outside of just the 2-color stuff.
Nothing
like the 3-mana white tiger, right? It says like you can only use CP from backups for this. Like anything like that has.
Now you got me searching for the word.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I just did.
Like you can Titania and ice. You can only cast Titania if you have a 4.
If you have
your break zone.
Okay.
When
Maybe
the
that.
ATBs choose 2 characters, dole free. You know, maybe. We're cooking. We're cooking.
Yo, that's kind of. I guess the other one's Ret 13 that you can only play them when you have a Category 7 forward, but who cares? Yeah, I think the spicy one is actually Titania. Huh.
That's
Kinda
cool. I didn't think of that.
Now I'm like, damn.
There's oh no, never mind. This is a summon. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Titania, I used to play Titania in like the Ice Earth list.
Yeah. Titania was definitely very much explored when
back in the 013 meta. Those were the days.
Man, now you got me thinking about that. I'm not gonna stop thinking about it. Right?
No,
I mean,
we already have
good,
a nice water deck that's going to be pushed this set with Griever.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, do I just play Titania there?
You can cast 6 CP Leviathan on their combat step, delete one of their forwards, dull freeze everything else.
Yeah. Bro, we're cooking.
You cast it for free with Iridia? Hold on.
Okay.
All right.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Chris.
All right. Let's move on to Sage. Multiplayable standard unit, 4 CP 8K. It's the Rosa effect. So choose a forward, activate it. You can only use it once per turn. It doesn't have the other effect from Rosa, the plus 1K. And obviously, you know, it's not Rosa, so both, you know, it's multiplayable, but also it doesn't get to do like both of those things, right? If you play this off of Cecil, it doesn't untap 2 characters, you know, 2 backups. Honestly, I think this is like good. Like I said, I'm glad that they're putting some of these abilities, like slightly weaker versions, but on multiplayable forwards. Similar to kind of what I mentioned about Bard. Although I think this one is significantly better than that. The obvious one that I think people are immediately going to is Griever with this in Ice Water.
Yeah, absolutely. I like Griever decks are running like 3 Roses, 3 of them. Just the first testing list. I think something that is less talked about is if you're playing a warrior like deck that and you're running 2 Rosas, you can split. Like you can run 1 Rosa, 1 of this, so you don't get like name clash.
Yeah, I guess one worry that I have with that is that I really appreciate Cecil untapping 2 backups when it plays Rosa, you know? Yeah. So, like, I think that's, like, relevant enough to where it would be, like, a consideration to play Sage, you know? Like, it's not like an auto, you know, 1-1 split, you know?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know how often I think you're casting Rosa specifically off of Cecil. I don't know.
Yeah, I've definitely done it more than once, so. But I think you might be right. I guess the fact that it, like, being able to do it twice per turn might be enough of an upside to do a 1-1 split anyways.
Yeah, it's kind of nutty. I think it's a little win more. But, I mean, if you get it, right?
But, like, also Rosa Wall is, like, the answer to a lot of problems that the deck has. So I don't mind having a second one, you know?
We're gonna be here with like you're like, all right, never mind, I'm playing 3 Rosas, 2 of these. Every day.
Yeah. I don't know, is there anything actually, Pat, I know you were thinking of making an Ice Water list also using Griever, but playing Mog 6, right?
Yeah, Mog 6 gives you just a way to use the untaps. It's the Mog 6 from I forget which set, but it's the one that taps to draw a card.
Yeah,
that's like Opus 4 or something like that.
Yeah,
and it's also not once per turn. So
yeah,
right. So if you've already Grievered out your opponent, you can just win more, draw a billion cards.
Yeah,
with Mog.
I would be exploring that if I was on Windwater, because if you're also running something like Go-Go, that also gives you a Go-Go target.
Or Ice Water, you mean?
Yeah, if you're running Ice Water and you're running something like Go-Go to copy your Griever, copying Mug is just as good.
And one thing I've seen too is you go.
You go.
I was gonna say one thing I've seen too is if you're playing if you're playing Go-Go and Mog 6, then I don't know if you need another character before it becomes relevant to start playing Unicorn, which is also another untap.
Yeah.
So.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was saying in Ice, I'm a big fan of Sarah Mobius, 2CP Ice Sarah Mobius.
Oh yeah.
Which is also just a really great untap target for this as well.
Just your opponent no longer gets to swing at you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that with Go-Go is also even just so impressive.
Yeah, because you also cancel, I think it's auto abilities or something, right? So
yeah, they had to pay 2 more.
Yeah, it's like, all right, so you gotta pay 4 more for that.
Yeah. So Ice Water, Wall Decks. Is there anywhere else that this probably fits in, or?
I don't think so, but to be honest, for a 4CP 8K standard unit, that's way more than it should fit into.
Yeah.
Are the so I haven't. I mean, I built the Lightning Water 14 list when Opus 20 came out, and I never really updated it because I know it's slowly shifted either to Fire Lightning or just Mono Lightning, right? The Scions deck.
Yeah, some people are still playing the Water Lightning though, because you get to play what's her face, one of the primals.
The 0 mana warp one?
No, I'm thinking of the one that draws you a card every turn. What's her name? Lakshmi, yeah.
Oh,
I saw that once in a list, right? It did pretty decent at a tournament recently.
Yeah, but this is like a standard unit.
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I guess if we get like a water black mage, we can also abuse Vivi or stuff like that. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
But good to have this effect. Good that it's also a mediocre forward, so it's also not highly abusable, right? It's an 8K for 4 that you can easily handle. If it was on a bigger body or something, then might be a little bit more. So,
like one of the things that Rosa kind of protects herself, right? Like because she has the plus 1K to prevent 8K pings from killing her, and this doesn't.
Nope. But multiplayable, I think, makes up for that.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about Astrologian. So this is another 3CP multiplayable standard unit backup. Astrologian enters the field. Look at the top 3. Add 1 card among them to your hand. Put 1 card to the bottom, and then put the remaining card on the top. It also has tap sack for 2 water. Put Astrologian into the break zone, draw a card. So similar to Minor and stuff like that. You just pitch a card, tap sack, draw a card for when you need it late game. I think this card is just worse Loporrit. Except Emmanuel, you mentioned one thing that made me reconsider this card was in EX heavy decks.
Yeah, for sure.
This is better there if you're running like a critical mass of the experts. Like I think I haven't play tested the deck yet, but I was trying this as a one-of when I was gonna test the Army of One deck or Torpedo Lightning. Sorry.
Put Odin's into the top.
Yeah, but again, you can't put them from your hand, right? I mean, obviously, okay, that would be like absurd as a 3CP, backup, but it's just like the immediate comparison is Loporrit, right? And so you have to ask yourself, what is this doing that Loporrit isn't doing better?
I think the only thing I can think of is it looks at 1 more card.
True.
And like I said, in EX heavy decks, I think while it doesn't unbrick you like Loporrit, setting up your EX for a damage turn is big. So in those decks, it's just a really good card. It's just Loporrit came out last set, so it kind of like competes.
Yeah.
But ignoring Loporrit existing, this card's insane.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Like, if Loporrit didn't exist, this would be the 3-of that I'm thinking of playing immediately in every water deck.
Yeah, and you can do stuff like now Water has a great base backup line that's basically all standard units. So you can like get away with playing few backups because none of them share names. So you can even if they share names, you can play multiple. So it just, you're never gonna be locked out of your backups. Every backup you play is playable and it's good. So it's something to explore.
What about you, Pat?
I mean, I agree with the Loporrit comparison. I think it's just Loporrit 4 to 6. If you even need that many.
I mean, I'm always happy to play more Loporrit. If I could play 50 Loporrit, I would.
Just going back to my comment earlier when we were talking about Viera, I think it was.
Yeah.
A lot of these cantrip effects or just hand sculpting effects.
Yep.
That are typically their own quote unquote summon in other games like Magic. Having it tied to like the backup and resource system is really cool. Is a really cool way for this game to incorporate them. So
yeah,
I'm glad they keep doing it.
I think it's really healthy for the game.
In Magic, isn't there a card that's banned that does this? Or am I like...
So Brainstorm, you put them all on the top, but in an order. Or
thinking of something else. That's fine.
Is there?
I don't think so.
No, I'm crazy. Don't listen to me.
Yeah, I mean, seems pretty good.
It's sort of like it's going a little into Magic, but Magic has a card called Sylvan Library. It might be what you're thinking of, where you basically draw 2 extra cards a turn at the beginning of your turn. So you're drawing, in Magic you only draw 1 a turn, right? So you're drawing 3 total a turn. You can put 2 of them back, or you can, for each one over the first one, you want to keep, you can pay 4 life to keep. So it sort of lets you like restack the top of your deck, or keep extra cards or something. Actually, it's not really like this at all. But I was just thinking of like how it can help you stack your deck, I guess. But like a lot of cards do that, like Brainstorm, things like that. But just like those kind of effects, they're not worth a card in this game, but they're definitely worth on a backup.
Yeah, well, and also because you mentioned like, it digs one deeper than Loporrit, but we also don't have like, busted combo decks like in Magic that really appreciate the dig one extra deep. At least not yet. So yeah, all right. Let's move on to Rhus. So this is a 6 CP 9K. He costs 1 less for each card you've drawn this turn. So he basically is a 4 CP card who costs 1 less for each extra card you draw after the start of your turn. Can't become 0, so he's not free ever. Discard a card, remove Rhus from the game, play him onto the field at the end of the turn. I don't know. I think this card is one of the worst cards that they printed this set, and I need to be convinced why it's actually good by you two.
So I think the discard 1 card and blank him is a very, very powerful effect, and they were very careful to put it on a card that's otherwise kind of vanilla.
Yeah, well, he is vanilla, right?
If he had any other effect, this card would be busted. But honestly, sometimes Water has the problem of like getting a sticky forward in, and we talk about Titas and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but it's still like susceptible to board wipes. The fact that this guy is just like permanently there is something that I think people will explore, just because there are decks that just will not ever be able to remove this guy. Ever.
But like, do most of the good decks care that he's on the field? Like, your opponent has one 9K on the board that isn't doing anything, you know? Like, what does it matter?
Well, it's a 9K. Well, I mean, all right. So I think I think because you play a lot of wall,
okay. Actually, yeah, that is fair.
you compare everything to wall, right? But
yeah.
Even with wall, you attack with wall, I block, and then blink him, right? Your attack is never going to go through, right? So something like that. And then he swings next turn, right? Because he loses his summoning sickness. Other than wall, because it's a overly statted card, 4 CP 9K is pretty decent, and being extremely sticky, I think, can be annoying enough for certain decks where it's just like you're gonna have like a perma forward on the field, right? We just talked about monsters being good because they're hard to interact with.
Mm-hmm.
This guy requires a little more work, right? Because you have to discard a card. But you know how you said, like, Furion, you can bluff having a water fight. You don't have to bluff anything with this guy. You can't target him. He's not gonna. Yeah. You're not gonna do anything. Like, I'm just gonna discard anything and just blink these things.
But like, he's a 4 CP card. Like, so okay, if we're gonna compare him to monsters, then we have to compare him to Blue Worm, right?
Yeah.
And you know, he's 4 CP as opposed to 3, basically, right? And you have to discard a card for him to, you know, live, as opposed to just it naturally living most things because they're monsters, right?
Yep.
I don't know. I don't see it. I'm sorry.
I think people. I'm gonna try to build something with them that we can test and see.
Right. I want to be convinced, so like, please do.
Yeah. I think obviously people going like, all right, so every card you draw, that's kind of cute. I'm not gonna lie, you don't build around that deck. Like, this card is not good enough for you to build a deck where you turbo draw to make him cost 1. I don't think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say that you know, going blue worm, and then this guy for 2 is kind of nice.
Yeah. Or even just Moogle or Poo-Poo, right?
Yeah, something. Yeah, right. Something a Moogle, and then hey, this costs 2. Is decent enough, but I just think the sticky forward, because it's sticky in the, you literally can't remove this, right? Because anything you target it with, I'm gonna discard a card, and then if you target it with something else in response, like, okay, congratulations, you have to do 2 things to get rid of my 9K. And if you say, okay, I'm just gonna ignore him, it's a 9K, so it's still, you know, beefy, right? Like, ignoring wall. Like, let's say you're not playing wall, you're playing anything else. Right? That's a 9K coming at your face every time. Your Cecil can't block it. Your what Zidane, your anything else can't block it. Can't reliably block this guy.
But like, I also don't think Tidus is that good either, right?
Oh no, now you're just wrong.
Okay, well, all right. I mean, again, I also play decks that just kind of ignore him, so
yeah, just.
I think I'm biased because of the decks that I play. Like, I think if I played, like, I don't know, I also play like Amma for Tidus and stuff, and obviously this, I literally can't kill this, right? Like, even with board wipes or Ammas, so
yeah. Like, imagine if you're forced to board wipe, right? And then you're like, he's still gonna keep a stupid 9K. Right?
Yeah, but like I said, like, you know, wind just storms over it, right? Like,
Does it? I just remove it from the game.
Yeah, but like, okay, but then you still have your wind turn. Like, they remove it from the game, and then you just swing with all of your cards. I don't know.
Yeah. So the what is it? I don't know. I just it's something interesting to. I think it's a very powerful effect. I'm happy that they put it on this card and not something stronger, because if it was but ETB or something, God help us.
Yeah, if they ever put this card like effect on an ETB, I agree, it would be really stupid.
Yeah. I think they were very careful with this card.
Is it my turn to talk?
Yeah.
Because they do have this effect on an ETB. It's lightning, the blue lightning.
But it's an S. Come on, man.
But it's a similar.
No. Yeah, it is a similar effect. I agree. But this lets you discard a Shinryu, right?
Right. You can discard anything, which is obviously 47 times better than.
Yeah, right. 40
than only lightnings. But I mean, the water deck plays the lightning anyway, right? And then it's a similar kind of thing. I don't know. I also don't really see it yet. I see your point though. That it's like a sticky 9. The 9K. This 9K will basically be on the board forever.
Right.
Water's never upset about discarding a card, I guess.
Right.
You're always gonna have cards.
I'll give you the reason. I'm gonna give you. You just gave me the reason why this card's busted. The reason this card's busted is you have him on the field. Your opponent plays forwards, right? Mm-hmm. Then what you do is you swing with him. You discard a card to remove him from the game, and then play lightning, because now you have less forwards than your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's my. Okay, let's say we're talking about sticky 9K, right? Which is really good against aggro decks. They just play their removal. You discard a card to remove him from the game, and now he's not on the field anymore. So you just swing with the rest of your board.
Right, but the other option is any other card you play, they play their removal and it's removed.
But if you win the game that turn, then he's basically dead.
That's what I'm okay, but then it's not worse than those other cards, right? It's on par in that situation.
But he didn't do anything.
Neither would have the card that would have been removed, right? Depending on the card. Let's say it's an Ash. Let's say it's an Ash, and the Ash removes something on the field, and then Lightning, Fire, or 13 goes, all right, Bahamut, the Ash, and I kill you. Right? It's basically the same situation. Whereas in other situations where you desperately need, to keep something on the board, then this guy is better. It's just it's not. I don't think it's comparable. It's just it's two different things. That's the way I see it. If you're looking for a sticky forward, this is, I think, your guy, because he's just very sticky. He's stickier than anything we have. Is what I'm saying. He's just. You try to board wipe? No. You try to target him? No. Right? Yeah, it costs a card. It's not free. But I don't think we have any other cards that just dodge every card in the game. Even Neo X Death, right? This guy comes back. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I see it. Again, might be bad. I like his effect quite a lot, and I'm very happy that they were careful with it, because it had the potential to be absolutely stupid.
All right.
I think they were let's just put it on something that doesn't matter. Oh, when you draw a card, you reduce the cost. I'm okay, that's fine.
All right. I need to play against this card to
figure
out if I...
I like him. He's sexy. I don't
know. he is sexy.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're good to move on then. So I think this is the last water card that we're going to talk about. Very simple card. 4 CP, Larsa, backup. When Larsa enters the field, you can search for a forward to cost 4 or more and add it to your hand. This is just water, as per usual, getting, all the good backups. It searches Shinryu and mono water, it searches all of the cards in, wall piles, right? Like your Rosa wall, Cecil's, right? It's just generically good. I don't know. There's not a lot to say about this card.
No, it's honestly, I didn't read that it was 4 the first time I read it, and I was no, this card's insane. What the heck? In the water ice that we were talking about, the Griever, it searches everything. It searches your Griever. It searches your Rosa. It searches all your pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of color. It searches the light guy that gives it haste. It just this says, whatever you're missing, I'm getting it. And that's really good.
Yeah. What do you think, Pat?
It also searches the Sage
Yep.
Untapped. So it searches basically whatever you're missing.
Yeah, I guess it misses like the Go-Go and Mog. Mog 6 is a 3-cost, right? So
yeah, and it also misses the Garland 9 that I play in my list.
Yeah.
For the
that's fine. You play. He's 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You play.
Yeah, I played the
9
Echo.
Just play Echo. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just like a generically good backup.
Yeah.
All it's missing is the EX, as I always say.
Oh my god, if this had an EX, that would be so dumb.
So good.
We don't put EX on.
Please, for the love of God, do not put an EX on this card.
I know. I just daydream about every card.
Yeah. I think it's one of those cards that we'll see a lot of, like, I think it'll see play in almost every water list, at least as a one of, but like I also don't think it'll have like a lot of deck building implications. Like it's not gonna, change a lot of decks, like you're not gonna build your deck differently because you have Larsa, I feel like almost.
No, you don't, but it's also one of those like, hey, if a card comes out that you really want to see turn 1 because it's like the core of your deck and it happens to cost 4 or more, you don't have to go to Earth to run Tyro, you can just run this.
Yep.
Right. So it's potential to be very powerful.
Yeah. You run 3 Marrowwood, 3 of this, search Realm turn 1. Hell yeah.
No, 100%. No, I'm well, hey, you run 3 of these, 3 Marrowwood and 3 Banana Sid, like your Realm is guaranteed turn 1, like
9 searchers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.